welcome to Healing Her Feminine, the podcast for high-functioning women ready to stop performing wellness and start embodying it. I'm your host, Lindsay Alexis, somatic and functional practitioner. Here you'll find grounded insights, soul-led healing, and practical tools to support your hormones, nervous system, and return to your feminine rhythm. Let's begin. First of all, I have a lot of energy today, so sorry if I sidetrack. Let's just preface that. I have a really good episode for you guys today. I am so excited to share it with you. We are going to talk about the cost of undereating and over-exercising. I feel like we as women get fed this almost like a lie that we need to eat less and we need to exercise more, and that'll solve all of our problems. It might solve weight gain problems. It might solve weight loss problems, right? But it's not going to solve our hormone problems. As a matter of fact, it might actually make them worse. So let's get into it. I have a full script for you guys, and I don't have that much time. All right. This topic I came up with because I was just talking to my sister about, and hopefully she's not going to listen to this, but she might. I was just talking to my sister, who's a lot older than me, about all of this stuff right here and that I'm about to tell you guys. And let's see, I'm trying to figure out how to say things without giving away too much information. So basically, we're talking high stress environment. We're talking not eating the correct foods or at the right time or the right amount. We're talking about lack of quality of sleep. We're talking semi-lack of exercise. Her job, does demand a lot of her, but it's not, she's not walking like 5 miles a day, basically. We're not running marathons here, which is fine. You don't have to run a marathon, but you see what I'm saying? It's just like your typical job. It's your typical routines, typical stress. Unfortunately, being a single mom, it's having children. It's the whole gamut of things that I feel like a lot of us women are going through on a day-to-day basis. So that's where all of this is coming from. And then I also noticed it in our mom, who has always had the same sort of concept. And again, I hope she's not listening to this, but same concept where like, oh, I should just eat less and then I should get more movement, which, seems like your pluses and your minuses are doing the right thing. But in actuality, the way that your cells and your hormones are going to function under that strict of a, let's say, just plan a routine is not going to actually do the things that you are asking of your body to do. Okay. Another thing with this is caffeine, right? So our bodies are going to get fueled more off of caffeine. We're going to be wired and tired at night. We're going to snack at night. There's lots of things going on with this. We have brain fog going on. We have heavier cycles, especially as you get into menopause. You're going to see more hot flashes and things like that creep up. And I'm going to go through the details with you as far as like what and why and how, and then how we can go about moving forward and fixing, quote unquote, fixing these things. Now, I will tell you up front, obviously, I'm going to give you a bunch of tips today on supplementation, on what foods to eat, how much of each food to eat, exercise, types of exercises, things like that. But remember that you also need to take this information and apply it to you specifically. Since I am not directly working with you, you have to pick apart what is specific to you and what isn't. Okay. And then on top of that, you also need to get your healthcare professional involved in the changes that you're making, especially if you have certain medications that might be involved in the process, or you have some underlying medical condition that, I don't know about sitting here on the podcast, right? So let's just preface that before we really get into it. And then, like I say on every single podcast, you guys, you're not broken, okay? You're just doing what life has told you and taught you to do. So a lot of us are underfueled and we're overstressed. Our body's just in this protective mode. It wants to be safe. So the whole reason of this podcast is to let you heal your body so that your body can feel safe and it'll function the way that it needs to function. And then you in turn will feel back to quote unquote normal, right? Regulated and connected to your body as you should be. So let's talk about this eat less, move more. I really don't know when we are taught this concept. I feel I was told about it when I was young, like maybe preteen era, maybe even sooner. So this is just training our body into famine physiologically. When you are going with food that is minimal, you're not really fueling your body. You're not really giving. So let me start over really quick. We have a BMI, right? Our basal metabolic rate. That consists of what your body is burning without you doing anything. So what it takes, the energy that it takes for your cells to do all of the functioning that they need to do, your organs, all of it. What is that metabolic rate? How many calories is just baseline that your body needs? And a lot of us are not just getting those calories alone, right? So typically, we go off of a 2,500 calorie kind of diet, right? Typically, we're not getting that amount, right? A lot of us, there was a point in my life where I was staying home with the children. It was that time where they were 2 under 2 or 2 under 3. And I was in it, right? I was in this, I call it my robotic state, where I was just doing the things. I honestly don't remember a lot of that phase because, first of all, the brain fog obviously was real, but I was just in this state of go, go, go. And like one child needs me, another child needs me. I need to clean this. I need to cook that. There's an errand that needs ran. I need to make sure this is done by this time. This person has this thing going on. Like, it's just, as a female, that stage of like postpartum up until maybe, let's say 5 years, like let's give us some grace, 5 years after you have your child, especially if you have 2 children, you are just doing. You're not even you, like you're not even in yourself. So I forgot where I was going. So there was a point where I wasn't even getting my own calorie needs, my own caloric needs. I wasn't eating enough, and I wasn't also eating the right things either. So somewhere along the line, we're taught if you want to lose weight, you should eat less and move more, right? Which is fine, but we don't look at the background of what that means hormonally as women, right? So let's talk about it. If you are under eating consistently, aka chronically, that's going to shrink your meal tolerance. And what I mean by that is basically your stomach is going to shrink, right? If you're not filling it to capacity and letting your body feel fueled and full, your body is naturally just going to shrink. Like if you are working out, right? You constantly work out, you're going to keep building the muscle. You're going to strengthen it, make it stronger. But as soon as you stop working out, those muscles start to loosen up, right? And then over time, they're not as tight as they used to be. Same thing with your stomach. Your stomach will actually shrink. So what then that does is that it's going to slow down the metabolism, and it's going to downshift your thyroid. It's going to downshift your sex hormones, and it's going to raise the cortisol. If there's one thing I consistently will talk about in this podcast, it is raising your cortisol levels. And that's everything that we do every single day, and we need to stop doing it. So this feast and famine cycle, what I was getting at with the caloric deficit of just basal needs is you're signaling to your body that you're in a famine, right? So let's go way back in the day. Feast, famine, right? You either survive or you're not surviving. Obviously, your body wants to survive. I mean, I wouldn't know any animal in any way, shape, or form that does not want to survive, right? We're here to survive and reproduce and then die off, right? So that's our basic job in life. Uncomplicated by humanness, by the way. So just take that with a grain of salt. So if we are under eating during the day, our body's like, oh, we're in a famine state. So here's what I need to do. I need to hold on to everything that goes into my system, right? Whether it's healthy food or unhealthy food, your body's just going to white knuckle it, right? It's going to hold on to it because the thing is in famine. This also causes you to overeat and snack at night, right? You're going to get those cravings late at night. You're going to eat more at night. And then what happens? You're going to go to sleep and your body's not going to be able to metabolize everything that you just ate because you're not having that movement like you would throughout the day. So what we need to do is come back to the start of the day and plan out our day accordingly with meals and the proper meals and what that looks like. So when you're in this famine cycle, you're going to actually gain weight. So you might be not eating as much, but because your body feels like it's not safe, you're going to hold everything, which means you're going to gain weight. You're going to gain a lot of fat. And if you are in some way, shape, or form muscular, those muscles aren't going to get the proper nutrition, and they too are going to start loosening up and deteriorating as well. And then this is going to make you feel guilty, right? Because guilt is real, shame is real, and you're going to be like, man, what I'm doing isn't working. I still must be, eating too much? I might still need to exercise more. I don't understand what's happening. So then you start restricting even more, and that leads to more dysregulation. All right, so then we have this domino effect happening. I know of a person who thinks that eating minimally throughout the day is going to help them lose the weight that they have gained throughout the years. And what it's actually done is they've actually gained more weight by not eating enough food throughout the day. Again, I'm trying not to fully get into it, so it's hard for me to say what I need to say. But basically, me helping this person realize how much they actually should be eating first caused overwhelm. Let's be honest about that. Because if you're used to eating such a small portion and now you're doubling, maybe even tripling what that looks like, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to eat all of this food? I've never eaten this much food in my entire life, right? It gets overwhelming. And so again, when we get further into this, we're going to talk about how to slowly increase your capacity for food. So overwhelm sets in, and then what ends up happening is if you stay consistent with it for the amount of time that you're supposed to stay consistent with it, you'll actually start really dropping pounds by doing this. Once you set your body up into the feast cycle of things and step out of that survival mode, your body be like, oh, we are awesome. We have so much food right now. Like, let's just start burning. And it'll burn and you will drop weight. So if weight is your concern and you know that you're not eating enough or you feel like you're exercising too much, then do the opposite and start eating more, right? You need to cover whatever it is that basal limit is, first of all. Then you start covering, if you're strength training or running or whatever the exercise is that you guys are doing, then you start covering for those, right? Because if you're trying to lose weight too, you do want to be at a deficit, but you don't want to be at such a deficit that it's actually less than your basal rate, if that makes sense. So let's shift a little bit and let's talk about our blood sugar. Let's talk about our hormones. Let's talk about cortisol, all the fun, good things that we love as women, right? We are so sensitive when it comes to hormones in our bodies. It is crazy. And guys only have to worry about their 24-hour cycles, and we have our 28-day cycles. How amazing. No, really. And actually, it really is. It is amazing that we have that ability. And for other reasons I'll probably get into in another podcast. But it is a blessing, whether we feel like it in the moment or not, that we do have a 28-day, sometimes 35-day cycle. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. Anyways, I digress. So if we have a low intake of food, right, that's going to lead to lower blood sugar levels. All right. And when you go into this low blood sugar state, your cortisol and adrenaline levels are going to spike in order to help keep you going, because what we're using those sugars for, those carbohydrates for, is for energy. So if we're not giving our body enough of that energy from our food sources, then your body's going to up its hormone levels in order to compensate for what it needs, right? Again, going back to the basal rate, we are looking at what is the minimum amount that we need. So if we're not even meeting that minimum level, then our hormones are going to kick in to try to push us over the edge so that we have the energy to do the functioning on a day-to-day basis, whether we're exercising or not. And then let's go ahead and add in the exercise. So now you're trying to exercise on a low intake diet, low blood sugar, those cortisol levels and adrenaline are going to go way high, right, in order to keep you going. And then what ends up happening on the back end when we spike those things, you have poor sleep, cravings of things that you shouldn't be eating, and high anxiety. And I think the high anxiety part is something that we don't really talk about that's correlated with the dysregulation of our hormones, okay? All right, so what cortisol ends up doing is it robs from our progesterone over time. And when we are pulling that progesterone away, right? Progesterone is so good for you. It's actually, I feel like we need to talk about progesterone more than we need to talk about estrogen, because it's such a good hormone that does so many things that we don't really talk about it like we should. So when cortisol interacts with the progesterone over time, those, your menses, your cycle is going to be heavier, right? Your shedding is going to be heavier. You're going to have more pain, more cramps, more PMS, irregularity within the cycle itself. It's going to pull away all of those things. So when we are really high stress, right, in our lives, that's why we miss our periods. That's why we miss the opportunity to create, because going back to feast or famine, your body doesn't feel safe. It feels like it's not in an okay place to legit create life. So we need to focus on bringing those cortisol levels down, all right? If we can move into being perimenopausal/menopausal, and again, perimenopausal literally starts when you're like 25, 27. That's when your fertility peaks, is around that age. I think it's like 23 to 25, 26, right? That's when your fertility is peak. After that, once you've crossed that age, you're perimenopause all the way up until menopause, right? So don't think just because you're only 29 or 32 that you're not perimenopausal, because you are. And so this all applies to you as well. So going through this change in our life, the estrogen and progesterone levels, they're going to shift, right? And when they shift, they make you more carb and stress sensitive. So we're talking the cortisol levels, we're talking all the way the glucose is processed in your body. And what ends up happening is protein becomes your best friend. Protein and strength training, those are the two things that become non-negotiable when you hit this phase in your life. Because those are the things that are going to help with the balancing of those two hormones, right? It'll bring the cortisol levels down, it'll regulate the estrogen, it'll regulate the progesterone, all right? So protein and strength training, and we're going to get into that in a minute as far as like what that looks like in amount wise, like how many grams and things like that. So hang tight. So really quickly, again, before we really transition into how to fix this system that's been broken by thinking this way, let's talk about some symptoms, because I feel like if I express to you what the symptoms are, you guys can be like, oh, I have this, I have that, I have this, check, 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 right? All right, let's talk about brain fog. Number one, it's not number one, but brain fog is one of the symptoms that you will experience. Fatigue is another one. We already talked about anxiety, mood swings, irritability, all of that. Heavy or irregular periods or cycles, talked about that. Worsening of PMS. Can I be 100% honest with you guys? We have normalized PMS. We have normalized it so much in our culture that we've actually come to be like making jokes about it, right? Oh, she's just on her period. Oh, she's about to be on her period. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just hormonal. Like we brush it off, but in actuality, you're not supposed to be having any of those symptoms. Your period is not supposed to suck. It's not supposed to be crampy. It's not supposed to be painful. You're not supposed to get headaches. You're not supposed to get the hot flashes, all of these things. Like those have been so normalized in our culture that that's just what we expect. But remember, what's normalized in culture doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it truth. All right. So for me personally, I know exactly what to do the week before my period starts to have zero cramps, to have a regular period, right? My mother, she didn't have to, for whatever reason, didn't have to worry about when her cycle was or anything like that. She never got any cramps at all, ever in her life. She doesn't know what it's like. On top of that, when she went through menopause, she claims that she never had any hot flashes either, while all of her friends were having hot flashes day in and day out. I don't think that my mom actually focused on, what she was eating or how she was exercising or what she was doing during this time. I think that is probably, well, my mom's always been really sensitive with her body and in tune with her body and what goes in it. So I think that helped her set her up with not having those symptoms. I myself and my sisters, we have cramps, we have issues. My sister, again, hopefully she's not listening, but she is currently starting to experience hot flashes and night sweats and sleep issues and all of these things that are coming along with the transition, the change that we all are going to go through. And so don't think that just because our mom did this, like this is why I personally don't have cramps. No, I have had to navigate my own journey and figure out what works for me so that I don't have these things. And a lot of times it's missing vital nutrients, right? It's missing the things that are going to help regulate those hormone levels as we walk through them. I will also state that my sisters and I and my mom know that we have estrogen dominance. And I have come to find out that insulin resistance is also kind of coinciding in there with the estrogen dominance. So knowing these things about yourself will help you better understand what it is that you need to do so that you don't have those symptoms. Because like I said, those symptoms are not normal. We have normalized them in society, but they are not normal. You're not supposed to have any of those symptoms when you go through your cycles or menopause, honestly. So let's get back to it. Like I just said, hot flashes, night sweats, sleeping issues. If you're not having a good quality, restful sleep, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, that's another symptom. Your hair is shedding, so you might have mild, typically at the crown of your head, you'll have some hair loss happening. You can have brittle nails. You can have dry skin all the time. You can have a low sex drive. You can have, you could be working out all the time and you've kind of plateaued. And it doesn't matter if you switch up, your exercises and what you're doing. You've just hit this plateau at the gym. Other symptoms that you can have are afternoon crashes, that 2-3 p.m. crash. You can have intense evening cravings. These can be sugary, salty type cravings. Again, they're just going to happen later, like 8-9 p.m. after you've already eaten your dinner. All right. So if you have any of those symptoms, know that there is a way to resolve all of this. So let's get into that now. This is not a pour it all on type solution. This is a slowly rebuild foundationally. That's what I always do. I don't want you to go into something and be completely overwhelmed by all the check boxes, right? So the first thing you want to try to do for that first week is adding in 200 to 250 calories a day, focusing on protein and fiber-rich carbs. I honestly suggest low glycemic carbs, right? Focusing in specifically on breakfast first and then building into your lunch. Okay, breakfast is so direly important. I cannot stress to you how much it is. Then on the second week, I want you to add another 150 to 200 calories. Again, protein forward. You can do this by adding in a simple snack that's protein based, beef sticks, beef jerky. It could be boiled eggs. It could be anything that's like high protein. It could be cottage cheese, whatever works for you. You can go research that. Get something that's a protein forward snack and add that for the second week. All right. Then weeks 3 and weeks 4, I want you to hit these targets that I'm about to tell you about, okay? And adjust what I'm about to say based off of your energy and the symptoms that you are having, okay? This is going to be week 3, week 4. So we want to make sure we're adding the calories for week 1 and week 2, and then week 3, we're going to shoot for the goals, all right? And what we're doing is we are allowing our stomach capacity and the digestive enzymes, which is also really important, and we will get into those probably in another episode. Digestive enzymes are huge. There's a lot of people who their digestive enzymes are like depleted and not working properly. I'll digress. But we're allowing these things to adapt as we introduce new or more food, right? So by doing this, we are also by slowly increasing the food intake, we are reducing the bloat and we're reducing reflux and those feelings of like, oh, I just ate way too much, right? So we're not going to try to expand our stomach excessively. We're going to do it a little bit at a time, right? So we do a 1 week, 2 week, etc. Next, what I want you guys to focus on is your nervous system pairing. So before you eat meals, I want you to take a 4-7-8 breath. So what that means is you're going to go in for 4, you're going to hold for 7, and you're going to breathe out for 8. And I want you to do that before every single meal. Then I want you to go on a short walk, 5 to 10 minutes post meal. And while you're eating, I don't want you to be distracted. I want you to be intentionally eating. Taste the foods, smell the smells, no screens, nothing that's going to distract you. I want you to be intentional about your eating. So this is going to help regulate the nervous system so that your nervous system can feel safe while you're eating. All right. Now, what I want you to eat is going to be protein focused, protein and fat focused, with a side of fiber rich carbs. The carbs are not going to be the main course. Again, focusing on more of the low glycemic carbs is what we want ideally. But you still want fiber because fiber is going to help move things around in your body and flush things out. So protein, fat, fiber, call it the PFF plate. Here are your targets that I was talking about a little bit ago. So per meal for women, I want you to focus on 25 to 40 grams a meal of protein. If you are closer to menopausal, you should be aiming for 100 to 130 grams a day, not a meal, a day. All right. So if you add that up, 40 grams 3 times a day, you're going to hit that target. For carbs, I want you to focus on 25 to 40 grams per meal from whole food sources. No processed foods here. And then scale up if you're doing strength training or if you're in your luteal phase, so the phase after you've ovulated, the week and a half to 2 weeks before you get your period. I want you to focus on your carbs. That's where progesterone is ideal. Like that's where we want to fix our progesterone levels. Then if you're more closer to the menopausal stage, I want you to lean into those lower glycemic fibers, okay, for carbs. Fat intake, we want 10 to 20 grams a meal. This is going to help with satiety and with your hormones. Then fiber, like I just mentioned, 8 to 12 grams per meal. You want about 25 to 35 a day. All right. Options. Here are some ideas to help you on your way. Breakfast, eggs. 2 to 3 eggs, some sausage, turkey sausage, maybe some sauteed greens like spinach, even some sweet potato and some avocado, right? Let's do a half a cup, let's say, of those. Another option that I personally like to do is yogurt and some collagen. I put some seeds in there depending on what phase of my cycle I'm on. I will throw some either hemp seeds or chia seeds or flax seeds. I'll throw those in there with some berries. Typically, it's going to be blueberries, but sometimes I'll do strawberries as well. A little bit of nuts. Good. Walnuts are going to be the best bet for what we're going for. Another option is you can do oats. I personally don't really care for oats so much. I'm kind of in the mixed bag with oats, but you do protein oats. So you could do a half cup of oats cooked in almond milk with a scoop of protein, some flaxseed, some berries, and a little bit of almond butter. And then if you are drinking coffee, because I know coffee is something that we cannot give up, drink it with your food or after it. The thing with coffee is if you drink it too early in the morning, especially if you haven't eaten anything, it's going to stress your adrenals because of the caffeine that's in it. So ideally you want to wait at least 90 minutes after you've woken up before you start drinking any coffee. The first thing you should do obviously in the morning is drink your water with electrolytes in it and kind of help flush out all of the things that your body has done overnight. So with coffee, you can also add collagen or a higher protein type creamer if you'd like. I personally use Chobani's creamer. It has 6 grams of protein 6 grams of carbs per tablespoon. And I like the flavors. A lot of times when we go towards more of the healthier creamers, they don't really taste that good. But Chobani is one that I personally drink myself. Again, this is just to help make sure that we aren't spiking those cortisol levels. So those are all of the different options you have for breakfast. Hopefully you write them down. Otherwise, you can come back and write it down. You can also, I'll mention it below in the description, but you can also get my meal plan template, or you can pay for an entire meal plan pre-done for you if that's easier. But it'll be in the description box and you guys can download that and it'll have all this stuff in it as well. For lunch, some options for lunch. Again, we want to anchor into that protein base. Salmon salad or tuna salad is great. They both have high protein levels. You want mixed greens on your salads, maybe some quinoa for that fiber, just about a half a cup. If you like olives, you can throw those on there. Throw some pumpkin seeds, especially if you are in, what is it? I think your follicular phase. Add the pumpkin seeds. You can add some vinaigrette to that as well. Another option is to have a turkey burger bowl. You can have regular burger bowl, especially if you're type O. I would recommend the beef over the turkey. But you can have a burger bowl, about 5 to 6 ounces of the meat, and then you can put some roasted carrots or zucchini on it, maybe some rice, a half cup, or even some lentils are good. You can do some sort of salad dressing that's like not high carb. You can do a tahini drizzle, things like that. You can really get creative with bowls in general. Then you can also, let's say meat's not your thing, you can also have some tofu, stir fry. Again, the same amount, 5 to 6 ounces. You can throw some broccoli in there, some peppers, some cashews, brown rice. Coconut aminos are always good to add to stir fry. That's what we use here for me and the kids. So those are some lunch options there. And feel free to kind of dabble and mix things up too. You can always just search up, high protein lunches, especially if you're actually leaving the house and going to work or somewhere for lunch. Look up things that are easy to pack, easy to make, quick prep meals, all the things. I'm all here for quick, easy, fast, simple. If you can spend less hours in the kitchen and more times like focusing on your health in other ways, I'm here for it. All right, last but not least, actually, just kidding. So we have dinner and then we have snacks. So dinner, you want something that's going to kind of like, I want to say flush out everything from the day, right? You want to help start that flush out when you go to sleep. So dinner is a perfect opportunity to do that. You can have some chicken thighs. Chicken thighs are really underrated. They're really good for your hormones, better than chicken breasts are because of the dark meat that is in them. But a lot of people don't like chicken thighs, so I understand. You can mix that with some roasted root vegetables, like I just mentioned earlier, that sweet potato, those carrots, things like that. Maybe saute some kale up and put some olive oil over all of that. Another option you could do is, again, another bowl, but you could do a beef taco bowl. If it's Taco Tuesday, you can throw some black beans on there. Black beans are really great for your hormones as well. We're looking at about a half a cup of those. Cauliflower rice is a go-to for this household here, so I highly recommend it for you guys as well. You can mix it with real rice if you want, maybe a quarter cup of that. And then some avocado or guacamole and salsa for the taco bowl. Avocado is something that is really going to help you with your hormones, the potassium and the magnesium that's in it. It's also shaped like a uterus, and so every time I tell people that avocado is my secret weapon for the week before my period starts so that I don't have cramps, they all kind of look at me shocked. And it's something that you can't just do like for one day. Like you have to eat it pretty much at one meal for the entire week. So it could be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just once a day. Avocado, like the mashed up avocado, or guacamole with all the other stuff in it. It doesn't matter. Try to stay away from the onions though. Like if they have red onions in it, try to stay away from the blends that have that. So you can make your own if you want, but I typically just get the avocado mash, and like I said, once a day, the week before your period. And I don't have any cramps, and typically women who I have coached who do the same thing, they too are alleviated of their cramps. Now, if you have other underlying conditions, I have been suggested to have PCOS, but I think with managing my hormones properly, it's kind of died down. It's not activated anymore. But if you have something like endometriosis that's going on, avocado will help ease it. I don't know so much that it will take it away completely, but hey, I'm here for easing the pain, right? The next option for dinner is a fish option, a white fish. You can put some butter on it, asparagus on the side. You can do a baked potato. You can do a sweet potato, whatever your preference is, and put some butter on that with a side salad. So you can have your typical, quote unquote, typical style dinner as well. Personally, my son has type 1 diabetes, so we try to stay low carb just in general to help him out as well. And feeding myself and my kids is sometimes a challenge in trying to think of things that were not on repeat, because like if it was just me, like I would just meal plan the whole thing out and it would be pretty much consistent throughout the week. You know, it'd be like the same meat item, whatever, it'd be basic, right? Because I know that I'm like fueling my body, but with kids you got to mix it up. So we kind of go through different websites and things and pick out what are some really fun but high protein, low carb meals. Again, I'm really a proponent to crock pots, one pot dishes, casseroles, those things, and they feed, you know, for like a day and a half. We have leftovers for lunch that I can use. So if that's you too, I feel you, go Google all of those things. And again, some of those stuff is in my meal plan, in the meal plan template for you too, but to each his own, you know. All right, let's talk about snacks real quick, and then we will transition. Like I said, today's a heavy day. I have a lot of stuff for you guys. Then we'll transition into some supplements that I recommend to help with everything, and then timing of those supplements, because that is very important. I feel like we don't talk about timing of supplements. We kind of just assume we're supposed to take all of them in the morning. And then what else can I tell you? I'm going to walk you through my balance method and how that relates to all of this. And then we'll wrap up. So I just wanted to let you know, like, we're almost done. Just hang in there with me. All right. So snacks. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. Snacks are to be used as a bridge. So between breakfast and lunch, between lunch and dinner. They're not meant to be like grazed throughout the day. You can have your meals set up where you are grazing throughout the day. A lot of women find that very helpful in their weight loss and hormonal journey. It really is just, it depends on you and what your body needs. But we don't want to graze on snacks, is my point here. Some snacks, some ideas. You have cottage cheese, add some fruit, add some seeds to that as well. Another example would be an apple and almond butter with some nuts. You can also do a protein shake. That's my personal favorite, with some cinnamon. You can add any spices. Spices are also something that's also really underrated. Cinnamon, turmeric, all of these things have different benefits, and I will probably more than likely do a podcast on what that looks like. But those are the two big ones that would help with your hormones and readjusting them and aligning them properly. And then also with that protein shake, you can have some berries in there. That's that low glycemic. fiber that we're talking about. The last one on my list here is hummus with carrots or cucumber, and then a side of meat like deli slices or ham slices. Those are great ways to get that protein in for your snacks. So going into specifically menopause, right? I'm just going to hone in on this for just a minute. So protein, the reason why we're focusing more on protein when it comes to you being actually within the change itself is because your insulin sensitivity drops. So protein is going to stimulate the muscle protein synthesis, and that's what's going to stabilize your blood sugar, which is why we're going to aim for 30 to 40 grams a meal. Carbs, we lean towards those low glycemic carbs that are fiber rich because you want to help with those hot flashes. So this is where the low glycemic in your blood sugar stability is going to come in. You want larger carb portions to be around when you're strength training or in the middle of the day. So when you wake up, your blood sugar spikes, right? It's way high, and then it'll come down, which is why you're going to eat the carbs right there. And then that'll level that out in the middle of the day. And then you'll kind of stabilize until nighttime, right? Which is why we don't want to eat carbs early morning, and we don't want to eat carbs late at night because it's going to spike us really high. That's where those hot flashes and night sweats come from, is snacking on refined carbs, especially late at night. Then with your fats, you want your omega-3s, which is why in that list of stuff I mentioned the salmon and the whitefish, because you want to get in those omega-3s. You can also take an omega-3 supplement. That's what I do. I'll tell you about those in a minute. You also want monounsaturated fats that help your vasomotor symptoms and inflammation. Okay, inflammation is so detrimental to the functioning of all the cells in your body. So by being able to calm that inflammation down, it's going to help everything function a lot better. Lastly, strength training is a must at this point. 2 to 4 times a week, ideally, minimum, maximum, and that's going to preserve your muscle and your bone, right? Your bone density is really important as you are getting older. A lot of that calcium and vitamin D and stuff starts to get depleted because of how our hormones are changing. So strength training is going to help to not have those brittle bones, and to help, like I said, preserve that muscle tone. It's also going to enhance insulin sensitivity by strength training, and that too is going to help with the blood sugar balance I just talked about, which is going to help with the hot flashes. Okay, so if hot flashes are your concern right now, look at where your carbs are going and what kind of carbs you're consuming, and then also look at, are you strength training or are you not, and how often. And then also, I guess, protein too, because protein is going to deal with that insulin sensitivity. So how much protein are you looking at? Okay, so now let's move on to supplements, right? And I'll also tell you the timing to take all these supplements. So again, like I mentioned, this is for educational purposes only. Anything that you add to your diet, you're going to have to go talk to your doctor about. Don't just try to willy-nilly it, because I don't want it to interact with anything that you're taking or anything that you and your doctor have already set up. First thing out the gate, magnesium. What kind? Glycinate. Chelated magnesium is what you want. 200 to 400 milligrams at night, not in the morning, not in the middle of the day, at night. It's going to help you sleep. It's going to help reduce the hot flashes, reduce PMS, and help your anxiety. Okay, highly, highly, highly recommend. If there was only one supplement that I had to recommend off the bat, this one right here would be it: magnesium glycinate or chelated magnesium. Next, we're going to go back to the omega-3s. I actually take gummies from Mary Ruth. There are 3, 6, 7, and 9 omegas. I'm not a huge fan of the gummy vitamin situation, but it was the only way that I could get plant-based omega-3s that I know of right now that are purely omega-3s and not, synthesized. You're going to take 1 to 2 grams of this a day. Again, you can do it with your meals, and that's going to help with the inflammation. It's going to help with the brain fog. It's going to help with the menstrual cramps, all of that, right? You can also, like I said, eat fish, but if you're not a person to eat fish all the time, supplements are available. Just make sure they are the correct supplements. I'm going to throw this in here too while we're talking about supplements. I have an entire guide that I made called the Supplement Fix, and it's really, really helpful for you to help navigate supplements, because supplements is an industry that's not really regulated. And so there's a lot of manufacturers out there who will state that something is in it and there's not the right quantity, or they don't even put it in. But since it's not regulated, they're allowed to do that. So false claims. This is where the third-party testing comes in and all of these things. But like I said, you can find out all this information from my Supplement Fix guide that I have. I will put the link to that below as well, just to help you guys out. All right, next we move on to vitamin D3, D as in dog, not B, but D3, and K2. You want to take these in the morning with a fat containing meal. So something like your yogurt or your cottage cheese based breakfasts. This is going to help support your mood, the irritability, your immune system, and then help regulate those hormones as well. The dosages should be based upon what your labs are. If you guys haven't gotten labs, please do so. You can go get a Dutch test and it'll tell you about your hormones and things. Blood panels just in general are also kind of helpful, but the more accurate one that I personally recommend is a Dutch test. That way you know where your hormones are. The next supplement is a B complex, methylated if needed. Eat this in the morning or take this in the morning with food. It's going to give you the energy for the day, and it's going to help combat stress metabolism. Another thing that I personally take for stress is Rhodiola rosea, and I think I can get mine from Gaia, but that really helps with the stress support as well. All right. The next one is creatine monohydrate, 3 to 5 grams a day. You can take this at any time during the day. This is going to help with your brain function, muscle tone, and it could actually help with perimenopausal brain fog and fatigue as well. Obviously, we're going to take a protein powder. It could be any protein powder. It could be whey powder, pea powder, or collagen-based protein powder, but you're going to use this powder to help you reach those higher protein targets that I mentioned earlier. Ideally, you want to be taking this post-workout or to help supplement in that breakfast. Remember, breakfast is so crucially important as we enter into the menopause phase. I'm already losing my voice, guys. I'm almost done. All right, the next one is adaptogens. So this is only if stress managed basics are in place. So don't be taking stress reducing supplements and not be working on relieving stress. Okay, so I already mentioned the Rhodiola rosea. That can be taken in the morning, 200 to 400 milligrams. Another one is ashwagandha, 300 to 600 milligrams and take that at night. But if you know you have thyroid issues or you are an O blood type, take it with caution. Okay, so avoid it if you have thyroid problems, but if you're an O blood type, take it with caution because it can have negative side effects because of the way our body processes it, being an O blood type. Okay, but if you are hyperthyroid or have any thyroid related issues, then no ashwagandha, please. You can take Rhodelia. That's why I take Rhodelia, is because I have an O blood type, and I don't even want to chance it with ashwagandha. I haven't even attempted to take it. More power to you if you can take it, but Rhodelia for me, I'm okay with. Another one that I personally take too is inositol. And you want to take 2 grams of that 1 to 2 times a day. This is going to help with insulin sensitivity. If you remember at the beginning of this episode, I said that we have estrogen dominance and I'm finding out insulin resistance. And I said this, I think, in the last episode. Insulin resistance doesn't mean that you take your glucose, like your blood sugar, and it turns out wonky. You can have perfectly fine glucose numbers, which is what I have, but still have insulin resistance, because the only way to know that is to do the proper testing for that. So you could be regulating insulin well, but you're not absorbing insulin like you should be. So there's tests for that if you feel like you want to get tested for that. But I take it because I have done the research that kind of makes sense as to why I would have insulin resistance. And my son has type 1 diabetes, which we don't know where it came from, but it could possibly be from what I know about myself now. This also is going to help with sleep. Sorry, the inositol is going to help with sleep. It's going to be helpful if you have PCOS, and it can also help with the perimenopausal symptoms as well. Last but very much not least are the electrolytes. Love me some electrolytes. I use Ultima. I'll tag it down below as well if you're interested. Comes in many different flavors, no additives, no colorings, no preservatives, none of that stuff, none of that junky stuff. If you go get, Liquid IV, that has a lot of carbs in it. Again, my son being type 1 diabetes, me being more on the keto side of things, we noticed that and we stopped taking that. But if that's all that you can get your hands on, then go for it. Just manage your carbs correctly. But again, I like Ultima. I use them all the time. That's what's actually in my water that I've been drinking. Take those in the morning when you first wake up. It's going to help flush everything out, like I mentioned earlier, or also take it pre-workout. I honestly just drink it throughout the day. It can reduce fatigue. It can reduce headaches, especially when you're increasing your protein and fiber. It kind of goes in combination. So those. All right, let's move on because I feel like this is trailing. I don't want you guys falling asleep on my podcast, so let's go. Some optional additional support. You can do primrose oil, 1 to 2 grams with dinner if you have breast tenderness or perimenopausal symptoms. And then I personally take NAC as well, 600 to 1200 milligrams a day with meals. That's going to help detox your liver, which if you have estrogen dominance is really where it's at. It's also going to help with inflammation as well. So pretty much mentioned throughout all of that, the timing of it, but in a nutshell, morning supplements, you're looking at your B complex, your D3 or K2, you're looking at your omegas, you're looking at your electrolytes. Midday, you're looking at your creatine. You can take that anytime, but ideally midday, you're looking at inositol if you're using it, and again, omega-3, a second dose if you're splitting those up. Otherwise, you could just take all of them in the morning. Then in the evening, you want to take your chelated magnesium, ashwagandha if you're going to use it, your NAC, or your evening primrose oil with dinner. So moving on to the balance method. The balance method underlines all of my programs, and what it stands for is breathe, activate, level, align, nourish, connect, and empower. I know, so lovely, isn't it? So breathing, we are going to do that 4-7-8 breath before our meals, and we're going to switch that fight or flight mode off by doing that. We're going to regulate our nervous system, which is going to help our nervous system to trigger our cells to absorb all the proper nutrients that we're eating before we eat them, right? Then we're going to activate. We're going to go for that 5-10 minute walk after we eat our meals. We're going to help the digestion just get it, right? Then we're going to strength train 2 to 4 times a week, right? We're going to build the muscle. We're going to lower the insulin, all these great things. Then we're going to level out by doing that protein, fat, fiber plate that I mentioned every 3 to 5 hours. Don't skip lunch. Don't skip breakfast. Don't skip lunch. Let's stop doing that. I know so many people who do that. Don't do that. Eat every 3 to 5 hours. Remember, we got those snacks too. So here we go. We are going to align, right? So we're going to do one micro commitment this week. It could be eating more protein at breakfast. It could be what I mentioned earlier with adding in that, 200 calories, right? And for the breakfast, I'm just scrolling up. Yep, 200 calories for that first week, right? So that's going to be our micro commitment for this week. We're going to try to get 30 grams of protein in if we're not already. And if we are, then we're going to shoot for the 40. Next, nourish. Right? We're going to cycle sync our carbs. We're going to do higher carbs when we're in our follicular phase or ovulation, and then we're going to do the grounding complex carbs in the luteal phase, right? If you don't know what those are, you can Google them, but basically it goes menstrual cycle, follicular phase, ovulation, they're kind of combined, and then luteal phase is the week and a half to 2 weeks before the next cycle begins with your period. So we're going to nourish all of those weeks, right? We're going to be aware. The next thing is connect. We're going to track our energy. We're going to track our mood, our sleep, our hot flashes, all of these things. And I have the perfect guides for all of this, especially if you want to do the gentle reset. You guys can just go pop on my website and look at all of these options that I have and how they can be integrated. We're going to monitor our cravings as well, and we want to do this for at least 2 weeks, ideally 2 weeks, so that we know how things are shifting, where we were at and where we're going. Then lastly, empower. We want to do this gently. We want to step by step by step. We don't want to just jump in and get overwhelmed and then jump back out, right? We want to dip our toe in the water, go slowly. So start with week 1, do a micro habit. Week 2, add another micro habit on top of that one, right? Consistency over time is where it's at. You don't have to be perfect when you're doing this. Just stay consistent, stay showing up for yourself. Okay, so that was a lot of stuff for today. I'm going to list a bunch of stuff down below in the description box, but I do want you guys to know that you can get the free meal plan template. You can get a done for you meal plan for the next 7 days. You can get the supplement fix. You can get on a call with me and we'll walk through a bunch of things. We have a clarity call for 30 minutes. That's free. Or you can go ahead and book an hour and a half call with me and we will go through all the things that I go through with my 90-day clients. We'll do it all within 90 minutes. The only thing different is I'm not going to be there to hold your hand for the entire 90 days, right? So you get a one-shot session with me. We do all the stuff, and then I send you on your way. You can always reschedule another 90-minute session if you feel like you need another one, or you can just transition into the 30 or 90-day program, and then we'll deduct the cost of what you paid for your rooted reset, that 90-minute call. All right. I think that's everything. I'm here to help support you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them below, and I will personally answer them. If not, you can always DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email, all that information. I'm here for you guys, here to help you heal. So, to sum everything up, don't listen to what is normal, right? What's normal may not necessarily be normal. Don't eat less and exercise more. That's a lie you've been told. Help your body feel safe. Correct your nervous system. Eat the protein. Be aware, right? Be aware of your body and what your body needs. And this is all going to help with brain fog, hot flashes, irregular cycles, anxiety, all of it, right? That's the goal of today, is to help you as we build up to the change, as you're going through the change, all of this. All of these things are very key takeaways, very much key takeaways, all right? Okay, so that is everything I have for you guys today. I will see you here